from the Horrid Henry TV show have been making the rounds on Twitter.com, a website notorious for making people's day worse. So it's only appropriate that even their nostalgic content brings about negative emotions. Octonauts, this is not. We are going from comfort content to discomfort content in the blink of an eye. Get ready to want to call Child Protective Services on a bunch of drawings. But lovers, to start off, I just want to let you know that this is the mark of the Purple Hand Gang, which is a group that Henry made with his friends. The flag for his little club is his handprint that's covered in paint. So I realized after I drew it on my cheek that this might look like a bow, but that did not happen in this TV show. Well, Miss Battleaxe glared at her class. Oh, for the good old days when teachers could whack horrible children with rulers.
What?
This is Lore Light. I didn't watch every single episode of Horrid Henry because I don't have the emotional capacity for 250 plus episodes of this. My thoughts exactly. I'm good. Today we're going through 6 of the books, a handful of the TV show episodes, and the live-action movie so we can psychoanalyze this fictional child. Usually I give the disclaimer that while the media I discuss is made for kids, my video is not, but I fear if you grew up with Horrid Henry, no one really gave a shit about what you watched anyway. Am I wrong? Get mad in the comments. That's what we're here for today. Use any of my other videos as a chaser for this one. Let's begin. The story Horrid Henry Tricks and Treats is full of the most pungent shithead energy. Henry cut and destroyed his brother Peter's hair, and I know many people out there blame Perfect Peter on Henry's constant punishment and belittlement, but I don't think that's fair. It's not fair! It's so British. Even the way they spell Halloween. Halloween? Pardon, bruv? The fuck is a Halloween? I'm already mad. Anyway, Perfect Peter is a kid too, and it's very clear that Horrid Henry only lashes out at his little brother because of the special treatment he receives from the parents. Anyway, Henry has to stay home on Halloween, and I hate to say it, but the punishment here fits the crime. And besides, Henry did end up getting candy anyway by tricking trick-or-treaters at his door, because Henry uses the obstacles thrown in his path to become the king of adapting. He almost always gets what he wants anyway. Spoiler alert, this child and the TV show child are very different. This kid is actually scary. And I'm a Peter apologist through and through just because of this picture alone. It's so cute. I don't care. Horrid Henry groaned. What a stupid costume. Thank goodness he wasn't wearing it. Isn't it great? Said Perfect Peter. No, said Henry. It's horrible. You're just saying that to be mean, Henry, said Peter, bouncing up and down. I can't wait to go trick-or-treating tonight. Horrid Henry felt as though he'd been punched in the stomach. Henry would be expected to go out trick-or-treating with Peter. I can give you a scary haircut. Perfect Peter clutched his curls. But I like my hair, he said feebly. This is Halloween, said Henry. Do you want to be scary or don't you? Said Peter as Henry pushed him down in the chair and got out the scissors. Not too much, squealed Peter. So then, when this poor young child was upset about the haircut that was forced upon him, Henry attacked. He was Medusa, coiling round her victim with her snaky hair. This monstrous imagery as he attacks his brother is used quite often. Here are some more examples. He was the creature from the Black Lagoon, dragging the foolish mortal down to a watery grave. All Peter said to get attacked like this is that he likes going to bed early. That is all this kid said. Do you think he deserved that? If you said yes, I'm putting you on a watch list. At least one of my children knows how to behave. Horrid Henry roared and attacked. He was a swooping vulture, digging his claws into a dead mouse. Fuck! All of his rage comes from a place of envy because he also wants to be praised without doing anything to deserve it. It's clear he feels the most empowered when he plays into being a villain, taking down the good guy. What's that quote from Zootopia? If the world's only going to see a fox as shifty and untrustworthy, there's no point in trying to be anything else. Anyway, back to Horrid Henry Tricks and Treats. This is also when I found out that every single child had an alliteration name, a descriptor and then their name. We have Weepy William, Lazy Linda, Gorgeous Gurinder. Actually, rewind. Let's go back to Weepy William. This dude gives off the same vibe as Google. Can someone check in on William?
N-O spells no, Henry!
Ow, my ears. I wish I can drown out all the anger and yelling of this show, and I think I have the solution with this video's sponsor, Raycon. I'm not gonna lie, guys, before Raycon, I just could not do earbuds. They would not stay in my ears. But join me as I jam out to Vivo, and you'll truly see that these are not going anywhere. Amazing sound quality, incredibly affordable, and I love this color. I got lavender, so cute. Also, I got a little sleeve for my charging case. They are quick to charge. Every 10 minutes of charging equals an hour and a half of listening. Okay, now I'm sweaty, but they didn't go anywhere. And we have a variety of sound profiles. Pure sound, balanced sound. I personally really enjoy bass sound. I really like feeling the music. There's a noise cancellation feature and also an awareness mode. The comfiest earbuds I have ever owned, mark my words. They are sweat resistant, which is proving to be very, very helpful because I am dancing up a storm with these. Go to buyraycon.com/AthenaP for 20% off your order, plus free shipping. Brought to you by Raycon.
Don't be horrid, Henry!
The best way to see the difference between book Henry and TV show Henry is a direct comparison. And luckily, this Halloween story was turned into an episode. Many notable changes here. The first is kind of irrelevant, but I have to point it out. Henry doesn't look like an actual gremlin in the TV show. They softened up a lot of the characters, at least appearance-wise. Secondly, the haircut scene played out with a lot less coercion and force than the book did. Here's the book again. Henry pushed him down in the chair, and here's the scene in the show.
With a little bit of effort, you could look really scary.
Henry is also significantly more likable in the TV show because he really only ever imagines attacking his brother. There's a big difference between, oh man, I really want to punch that goody two-shoes, and
He needs some milk.
also in the TV show, Henry did not steal candy from the door. Henry also wasn't just forced to stay home for Halloween, he also couldn't leave his room. He got a way harsher punishment for doing a lot less. His master plan was to play music loudly so his dad threatens him to keep it down or else he'll keep barging in. Henry triumphantly explains that now his dad won't check up on him unless he's playing music.
See, now he won't come up here unless I make a noise.
That's kind of fucked up. Regardless of his naughtiness, you're keeping a child locked away on his favorite holiday, and you aren't even going to talk with him? He's just fully banished from society? Not quite. Like he said, his dad doesn't go in to check on him, so he just fully sneaks out and they never know. That's how clueless they are. Not to mention, when the kids at the door don't want the treats that the parents bought, they just give away Henry's candy. Why?
How could he give away my sweets?
It's either they don't check on him or this.
Don't make me come up here again.
Back to the books. In the Bogey Babysitter story, Henry wants to scare away every babysitter he ever has with his shenanigans, and he's been successful in doing so. But his reasoning and reaction is concerning. At first, he claims he doesn't want some ugly, stuck-up, bossy teenager who'd hog the TV and pig out on Henry's biscuits. But then he continues. Parents should just stay at home where they belonged, thought Horrid Henry. His parents were mean and horrible, but he'd have a lot of practice managing them. Babysitters were unpredictable. Babysitters were hard work. And by the time you'd broken them in and showed them who was boss, for some reason they didn't want to come anymore. This screams abandonment issues and also confirmation bias. Henry's parents told him his whole life that he's a piece of shit, so he believes them and lashes out, which causes other people to give up on him, which in Henry's brain only confirms what they've been saying about him. What's that fucking Zootopia quote? It seems like you could even sit on a baby for your career. We meet their new babysitter, Rancid Rebecca, and she's very much giving Icky Vicky vibes. But instead of torturing kids for fun, she instead just screams and growls at them to go to bed super early so she can raid their fridge and watch TV on their couch and get paid for essentially doing nothing. Not even Peter is safe from her rancidness. All the kid said was, "Please, can I watch this nature documentary?" And she screams at them. "If I see you, or hear you, or even smell you, you'll be sorry you were even born. I'll stay downstairs and you stay upstairs, and that way no one will get hurt." Oh, so that's fully a threat. What the fuck? Henry finds out her weakness. Rebecca is scared of spiders, so she asks Henry to catch one. Henry, ever the negotiator, says that he'll only catch the spider if she lets him watch TV. She promises, but then immediately goes back on her word. Only then did Henry use the spider as a weapon. He whipped out the spider jar from behind his back and unscrewed the lid. On God! Horrid Henry advanced menacingly towards her. No! wailed Rebecca, stepping back. Now get in that room and stay there, ordered Henry, or else. Rabid Rebecca skedaddled into the bathroom and locked the door. If I see you, hear you, or even smell you, you'll be sorry you were born, said Henry. The throwing her own words back in her face, mwah, very cathartic. First time I smiled while reading Baby's first rage bait. One of the blurbs on the back says his fiendish plots will make you ache with laughter. Laughter? I'm aching with pain, dude. Sorry guys, I'm an empath. This is just really difficult for me.
Shut the hell up, bitch.
In the third story, entitled Horrid Henry's Raid, we see his rivalry with Moody Margaret and Sour Susan. The girls have their own club, and Henry has his club with his brother. For the most part, it was weirdly wholesome to see him playing with other kids his age, but once again, Peter is relentlessly being mocked. Horrid Henry hammers home the fact that Peter is seen as less in his eyes by giving his brother the nickname of Worm, while his own title is Excellent Majesty of the Purple Hand. In Horrid Henry's car journey, Henry calls his cousin Vera a prissy, pimply baby. And I thought, okay, that's just Henry, whatever. Listen to this exchange with the baby's own parents. How's the lovely baby? Too prissy, said Polly. Too pimply, said Paul. Do any of the parents in this book series love their own children? Polly and Paul are way more loving towards their daughter Vera in the television show, only making Henry's parents worse by comparison. First thing Henry's mom does in the christening episode is put Henry in charge of the vomit rag she was given. While in church, Henry tried to warn his mom that Vera was crawling off with her phone. His mother and father don't try listening to him for a second, instead aggressively shushing him and telling him to be quiet.
Sit down now!
Relax, relax.
When he finally is able to say that the baby crawled away, we're hit with the classic, "Why didn't you tell us then?"
Dear God!
Henry once again is coming across as way more likable in the television series, especially when he bonds with this prototype iPad baby over mobile gaming.
Do you have any games on your phone? Do you have any like a Candy Crush or like you got Raid Shadow Legend, you got the Shadow Legend, you got Raid Shadow Legend.
Speaking of weird tiny creatures, I knew somewhere in this video I had to address this tweet. These characters appear in Horrid Henry and feel very out of place. Well, would you believe me if I told you that what we're witnessing here is one of the strangest crossovers of all time? So let's start from the beginning. This is from the season 4 episode Birthday Bonanza. This episode starts with Peter talking directly into the camera, which isn't unusual, until we start seeing nodding from the perspective. So kind of like bizarre. Peter is trying to hype up Henry for his birthday, but Henry is feeling existential turning 12. He doesn't want to be an adult and work and get married to Margaret, which is somehow brought up a couple of times throughout the series. But Peter pep talks him, and at this point in the series, these two are fully best friends. Like, look at this banter.
You can do anything, go anywhere, be anyone you want to be. Bit deep for this time of the morning, Peter.
We even see them looking through memories, which even includes Henry always getting pancakes on his birthday, giving a softer look at the mom as well. The parents are not completely incapable of being nice, which is important to point out. I think they even soften as this series goes on, so character development? Question mark? The episode really starts to go haywire as they start singing at him, and these two show up with, I shit you not, no explanation. Nothing in the episode justifies them being there. I believe that's who Peter was talking to in the beginning though. Anyway, these two are Hugo and Migo from the Rolly Mo show. I watched a bit of that show to see what these characters do, and I don't fucking know. I feel like I should make a video about this show though, because it looks absolutely bonkers. So yeah, they just shoehorned that in there because both the Rolly Mo show and Horrid Henry were produced by Novel Entertainment Company. Were there enough people out there that liked both the Rolly Mo show and Horrid Henry? Was this someone out there's Jimmy Timmy Power Hour? Wouldn't it be crazy if Hugo and Migo from the Rolly Mo show just showed up in this episode? Even though Henry's never mentioned them or the show by name. That would be awesome.
Hugo!
What? This is the best day of my life. Now you may be asking yourself, does weird magical shit like this just happen in Horrid Henry? I would say this show is entirely rooted in our reality outside of that weird crossover, but that's not entirely true. Their cat Fluffy always looks out of the window at night, then presses on a remote to make it cut to the next day. Also, Henry's pet hamster Fang has this deep gravelly man voice that just agrees with him with the catchphrase, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this leads me to the question, is this entire series just from the very biased and overly imaginative Henry perspective? Is that why some of these characters are over the top harsh, or is this world just that weird? While we're exploring Henry's reality, let's take a look at his daydream transformations. His dinosaur transformation happens in quite a few episodes, but I specifically want to talk about Horrid Henry and the dinner guests. Peter pissed off Henry with his kiss-assery as usual, and this transformation was actually representative of a tiny altercation. Sometimes it's just when Henry yells, but this one ended with Henry standing over Peter. Again, nothing like what we saw in the books, but they do fight a little bit. The main punishment and obstacle of this episode is that Henry is sent to his room because Mr. and Mrs. Mossy are coming over. They own the bookshop Henry's mom works at, so they really want this dinner to go perfectly. And unfortunately, I have to defend Henry's parents for a second because they don't just assume Henry would cause trouble, they knew he would. They played out flashbacks where Henry made it his life mission to prank the dinner guests. And this episode was no exception. Despite them warning Henry, Henry still found a way to prank the Mossies. A great moment is when Mr. Mossy had a one-on-one with Henry and explained that he was a troublemaker as a kid as well. A moment like this is needed so desperately in the books because it assures us that Henry isn't a lost cause. In Horrid Henry's summer camp, his parents dropped him off and exclaimed, 3 whole days without Henry. Ah. Bliss. They should have used birth control. In this episode, when there's no chips at camp, Henry throws a fit and transforms into a bear. His tantrum is cut off immediately when he sees his camp counselor as an even larger bear. Most of Henry's transformations are through anger, like with the snake, the crab, the wasp, the hawk, the dragon, the gorilla, the lion, the octopus, the shark, the elephant, the robot, and the plane. Okay, so it's not just animals, that's kind of cool. But he also has transformations for other emotions, like feeling overwhelmed as an orangutan, or when he's embarrassed he turns into a dog. A little bitch, if you will. When intimidated by others, Henry sees them transform, like what we saw with the camp counselor. Peter has at least 2 transformations, his mom has 1 as well, and once again I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but it just goes to show how much more interesting the television family dynamic is. Is it healthy? No. But the books are so skewed to focus on Henry's antagonistic ways. I feel like TV show Henry is how he sees himself, and meanwhile book Henry might just be how his parents see him. Because this dude's a menace. Let's get back to the books. The first story in this book, nothing really significant or traumatic happened. Henry just lied to win a book competition, and although his scheme worked, he didn't like the prize. So the universe punished him for the adults who should be doing their jobs. Whatever. But Horrid Henry's stink bomb shows more of Peter wanting to get back at Henry. Perfect Peter was outraged. Was that it? Why hadn't she punished Henry? Henry had been so horrid he deserved to go to prison for a year, 2 years, and just get a crust of bread a week and Brussels sprouts. Ha! That would serve Henry right.
Calm down, Sonny.
So the resentment is growing. And there's actually a great episode to compare to this in how Peter just absolutely spiraled trying to get his parents' attention because being good was not cutting it anymore. But we'll get to that once we're done with all the books. In Horrid Henry's Horrid Sleepover, we meet Nick. Nick's family is also very abusive, I'd say. They have their opera club wailing until 3 a.m. They let their kids sleep on a broken bed that sporadically crashes to the floor. And worst of all, they keep food that's been chewed on and slobbered all over by the dogs to feed to their kids. In Horrid Henry's school project, we see that Henry is very violent towards the kids in his class. And his teacher does nothing. She only cares about them completing their projects. Does she have tenure or something? Dear God, the adults in Charlie Brown are more useful and we never even see them or understand them. All the disciplining in the book so far has been like, hey, you're a little asshole, you know that? Yeah, I do actually. And then just continues being a little total asshole. It hasn't worked yet, but they're just gonna continue doing the same thing. In Horrid Henry Eats a Vegetable, we have a rare parental W, explaining the importance of a balanced diet. They even said if Henry finishes his veggies 5 nights in a row, they'll take him to his favorite restaurant as a reward. This story follows the same plot as the book competition episode, where Henry cheats his way to victory, and the adults have no idea so they reward him, but the reward itself ends up being a punishment. Gobble and Go was gone. That was his favorite restaurant, by the way. A new restaurant squatted in its place. The Virtuous Veggie, read the sign. The all-new vegetable restaurant. Wow, that's crazy. What are the odds? The universe is attempting to discipline him in such a stupid way. The Virtuous Veggie? That shit's gonna close down too. That's ass. In the story Horrid Henry's Underpants, we are once again witnessing his school life. Miss Battleaxe yells at Weeping William, the one that can't stop crying. This kid already has enough problems. She yells at him for him yelling when Henry pinched him. No punishment for Henry, by the way. Henry also keeps pantsing people, and there's even an illustrated picture. I won't show it, but what the fuck? In Horrid Henry's sick day, Peter is actually sick, so Henry pretends to be sick too to get out of going to school. Classic. The parents seem very concerned and loving in this story. I wish they took the time to actually watch them for more than 5 seconds though, because they're always like, okay, I'm leaving now. I hope you don't do anything while I have my back turned. Alright, I'm back. Why is there shit on the walls? Like, no joke, Henry put his thermometer near a light bulb and Peter's thermometer in ice water so he can win this sick competition, making Henry's thermometer read 53 degrees Celsius or 127 degrees Fahrenheit, and Peter's is 14 degrees Celsius or 57 degrees Fahrenheit. So the mom saw this and was shocked, because that's not human temperature, but somehow she didn't put 2 and 2 together, or maybe she did and didn't care. It's weird. Although I will say the episode ends with all of them being sick except for Henry, so Henry has to take care of them, waiting on them hand and foot, giving them water and stuff. So I'm not sure if that's another punishment from the universe type thing, or if the parents were feigning ignorance and actually were teaching him a lesson through this, I don't know, faking it so he has to take on a responsibility. I think I'm giving them too much credit. It really didn't seem like it. Look how stressed out the mom is.
One of my boys is freezing and one of them's on fire.
In Horrid Henry's thank you letters, he's writing thank you letters to his relatives that gave him gifts, and this is a rare moment when the humor of these books actually lands for me. Listen to this shit. This kid is such an asshole, but in this case it's actually funny. Dear Aunt Ruby, no, thank you for the horrible present. It's the worst present I ever had. Didn't some old Romans say it was better to give than receive? So in fact, you should be writing me a thank you letter. Henry. P.S. Next time, just send money. He's setting boundaries. He's making his wants known. He's actually a little angel. He's actually a little sweetheart. What? Is this a panty raid? In Horrid Henry's chores, to get out of doing chores, Henry just let the Hoover vacuum run as he watched TV. Isn't Henry doing a good job? Said Mum. He's been working over 30 minutes nonstop, said Dad. Finally, he's being responsible, said Mum. At last, said Dad. Again, less abusive, but more stupid. This kid isn't a genius like Nick from Frindle or Brenton from the Homework Machine. Most of Henry's schemes are half-baked at best. In fact, listen to this shit. I've worked so hard, Mum, gasped Henry. Please, can I stop now? Mum stared at the dust balls covering the carpet. But Henry, there's still dust everywhere. I can't help it, said Henry. I did my best. All right, Henry. The enabling continues. It's almost as if insults aren't a good form of punishment for an 11-year-old boy. Also, Henry met the Queen of England, covered her in mud, and asked her how many TVs she had. That's actually legendary. Okay, by the way, let's talk about Stuck-Up Steve. Horrid Henry's arch enemy and world's worst cousin. The mom tries to bargain with him again. I want you to be pleasant and talk to everyone, and you will eat everything on your plate like everyone else without making a fuss. If you do, I'll give you 2 pounds. Perfect Peter frowned. Shouldn't he get 2 pounds like Henry? What's my reward for being good, said Perfect Peter. Goodness is its own reward, said Dad. The resentment is still bubbling up.
Storms are brewing.
Let's continue, because this is the one moment in the book where Horrid Henry softened up a little bit. He's going to this fancy schmancy restaurant, and he was actually impressed. Wow, said Henry. It was like walking into a palace. Here's where we meet the cousin for the first time, and this kid's a little shit. Haven't you ever been here before? Sneered Stuck-Up Steve. No, said Henry. We eat here all the time, said Steve. I guess you're too poor. He's saying this at the table with Henry's brother, his parents, and no one says anything. Rich Aunt Ruby said, "Hush, Steve. Do something other than telling your kids to shut up challenge." I wanted to rip my hair out reading Horrid Henry and the Football Fiend. And the Football Fiend. He is the Football Fiend, and I'll tell you why. He glanced at Miss Battleaxe. She was chatting with Mrs. Oddbod. Horrid Henry went for a 2-foot slide tackle and tripped her. "Foul!" screeched Margaret. "He hacked my leg!" "My leg!" "Liar!" screeched Henry. "I just went for the ball." "Cheater!" screamed moody Margaret's mom. "Play on," ordered Miss Battleaxe. It happens like 3 more times. Henry glanced at Miss Battleaxe. She appeared to be rummaging in her handbag. Henry saw his chance. He stuck out his foot as Margaret hurtled past. "Bro's not being subtle." Crash. Margaret tumbled. "Henry hacked my leg," shrieked Margaret. "Did not," shrieked Henry. "I just went for the ball." "He cheated," screamed Margaret's mom. "Are you blind, ref?" "My eyesight is perfect, thank you," she snapped. Also a motherfucking liar because she's seen wearing glasses. It happens again. Henry looked up. The ball was high up. He'd never reach it. Not unless. He glanced at Miss Battleaxe. She was watching a traffic warden patrolling outside the school gate. Fully has her back turned. Bruh. Henry leapt into the air and whacked the ball with his hand. Here's the picture. Take a closer look at the picture. So all of this happens. Miss Battleaxe is not watching the game at all. The MVP of the game was supposed to get soccer tickets to like a professional soccer game. And Miss Battleaxe just awarded herself the tickets. She should be fired, right? She should be fired, right? She doesn't take her job seriously. She's clueless. She's decrepit as shit. And she stole the children's prize. Like, that can't be allowed. At the end, we also have Horrid Henry's top tips for winning at football. Here we go. Let's read this. This is clearly a very likable protagonist that should directly be talking to children. He's a very good influence. Look at this little gremlin. Is that shit on his pants? Shirts are for pulling. Never let an opponent run past without giving his or her shirt a good tug. Stick out your foot whenever an opponent races past. If your team is winning with a few minutes left, fall and pretend you're injured to waste more time. Try and steal the referee's red card so he can't send you off. Oh my god, he's such a fucking asshole. Let's hear some of his jokes. I also have the joke book. We actually have a collection of jokes. Andrew's anxious joke, Moody Margaret, like we have each of the characters, but we saved the best for last. The titular, bitchular, Horrid Henry. Emphasis on bitchular for this kid, my god. Like in the TV show, he's so much more likable. He sucks here. Let's hear some of Peter's jokes actually first. Who invented the plane that didn't fly? The Wrong Brothers. What did one earthquake say to another? It's not my fault. I don't get that one. I don't get it. Henry is even insulting Peter in Peter's own section of the joke book. The entire time Peter's just trying to tell his jokes on stage, and Henry's out there heckling like, "Boo, you fucking suck, bitch!" So rude. So terrible. What are some of Henry's jokes? A lot of them are about pirates. What does a pirate smoke? A cigar. Weak as shit, Henry. What does a pirate's dog say? Arf. He's really fixated on pirates. What do you get when you cross a pirate with Santa Claus? The movie Elf Bowling, bitch? That was the correct answer, but the answer he gave was yo ho ho ho. Oof. Woof. Here's the only good joke in the book. If frozen water is iced water, and frozen lemonade is iced lemonade, what's frozen ink? Ice stink? You stink. Boo. Stinky. No. I like that one. That one's pretty cute. In the TV show episode Perfect Peter's Horrid Day, Peter is tired of being overlooked because he's a goody two-shoes and a rule follower, so he decides to be more like Henry for the day. First thing Peter does is spray Henry with the gardening hose, completely unprovoked, by the way. The dad immediately, instinctively yells at Henry despite it not being his fault. Peter also took slugs inside to put them in Great Aunt Greta's chocolates. Henry notices this switch and decides that Peter is not going to steal his thunder. This is my brand. So Henry takes all the slugs and puts them in his pants. Before the no chocolates reveal, Henry's mom is already yelling at him just for existing.
Stop fidgeting, Henry, and sit down.
So once Great Aunt Greta actually gets the gift of nothing, Henry really is in trouble now. Also, he flung slugs at her face. It seemed completely unintentional, but it was just the cherry on top of the cake, as he doesn't really like Great Aunt Greta because she's constantly misgendering him. Anyway, Peter is very pissy his plan didn't work, even exclaiming, "Mom, it was me! I did the bad shit!" which she completely ignores. I've already said it, but once again, the dynamic between the brothers in this show feels a lot more playful. In the books, it's full-blown abuse. Like, if Peter sprayed Henry with the hose in the books, Henry would have yanked his hair out. But here we see Henry actually giving Peter credit, like, wow, I didn't think he had it in him.
Wow, I'm almost impressed.
Henry in the TV show, even at his worst, you want to protect him and see him grow. I don't know if there's any development throughout the book series, but it gets very frustrating and repetitive very quickly in my opinion. It's easier to follow a story when the main character is entertaining. You don't have to be fully likable to be entertaining, but there has to be enough going on where it doesn't feel completely stagnant. To be completely honest, I was gonna read more of these books, but after those, I was like, I got the gist. I'm full actually. I'm stuffed. Back to your regularly scheduled program of ranting about how terrible these parents are. Let's take a look at their Loathsome Characters wiki page. In the series 1 episode Where's Fluffy, Henry finds out that Moody Margaret has kidnapped Fluffy, their cat, and after she runs away, he tries to tell his mom and dad, and they just immediately don't believe him, even though they never bothered to check. In the episode Happy Birthday Peter, she cheers at Colin the Clown making Henry disappear.
I shall now attempt to make this clever little boy disappear.
Bravo! Bravo! Oh, lovely.
That's especially shady because it seems like that was supposed to be an inside thought. It's bad that you're even thinking these things, dude, about your own kid. She makes Henry wrap his Christmas presents? Oh my god. Is Santa, like, not a thing in their house? Maybe he's real. Maybe he's real here. One of these points in the Loathsome Characters wiki is kind of stupid. She constantly makes Henry do things he doesn't like. Well, he doesn't like doing homework or eating healthy foods, or a lot of the things he doesn't like doing are actually good for him. So I wish you named an example that was as stupid as some of these other things are. Like, she truly is an asshole, but he doesn't want to do things that he really has to do as a developing mind. I wouldn't have put that point, me personally. See, I hate to say it, but this point too, in several episodes she makes Henry get out of bed on the weekends, so she's depriving him of sleep. There's enough things here that are actually bad where we don't have to, like, grasp at straws. There are some huge Slurpee-sized straws over here. That's not even top 150 things that she does that's bad. That is a normal thing, once again. She doesn't want her kid to sleep in on the weekends, throw off his sleep cycle. Dude, no, that's just not a good point. One tiny thing I want to point out before we move on to my own observations, because I did watch more of the television series, is in the Loathsome Characters wiki, there's different categories, and I just love that one category is British characters. And what's worse is their annoying ass fucking voices.
I'm a medic. I help any creature who is hurt or sick.
In the season 3 episode Rockstar, it's clear that the writers just have to make the parents give him a punishment because that's the catalyst for what Henry does next. In this episode, the mom grounds him for, let me check my notes here, listening to music and drumming with pencils.
What?
Technically, it's because he kept getting distracted doing his homework, but how angry she is and how nasty she got is a huge red flag.
You are not a rock star, and you never will be. So the sooner you get that idea out of your head and get on with your homework, the better.
Let me repeat that. You'll never be a rock star. So get that out of your head. So discouraging and mean. For what? It's not like he said, I want to be a rock star because the girls come easy and the drugs come cheap. We'll all stay skinny because we just want it. In that case, I would get it. Shut the fuck up, kid. And give me my nickel back. Do you get it? Do you guys get it? But he doesn't glorify toxic traits in rock stars. He just enjoys making music with his friends. And you're stripping him of, like, one of his only hobbies. The progression of the rest of the episode is what really confuses me. Because his mom being shitty, I'm used to. But after Henry writes to a rock star and doesn't get a reply right away, we see day after day of him returning home super disappointed. And the sadder he gets, the sadder and more concerned his mom looks. And when he finally does get a reply and is happy, his mom is thrilled. I wish they showed the parents talking with him and working more things out, because their fits of anger just seem so out of place, especially with moments like this, where there's evidence that they genuinely care. The fact that the this isn't a Nickelodeon movie hurts my brain. It is that exact genre of parents just don't understand. I'm a rowdy boy, and I do what I want, and girls are gross, and I'm talking right into the camera. This movie also made Peter look as close to a cartoon as a live-action child can get. I'm almost impressed. Everything is so over the top. The first action sequence is Henry stealing chocolates from the girls' clubhouse, where they're just seen talking about how girls are better. They couldn't have made it any clearer that they just gave these child actors the gist of what's going on and made them improv. Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. I don't like boys either. Yeah, they're icky. Girls better. Girls better. I wish they gave them more direction, because Moody Margaret throughout the rest of this movie is one of the best actors. She killed it. His mom and dad yell at him to do homework in a very goofy way.
Henry?
Homework now!
It's so hard to take them seriously. This was also listed in the Loathsome Characters Wiki, and once again, I think this is nitpicky. I think this is the most likable way they can present the parents. And even that you're poo-pooing on? Pick a side. In the cartoons, they would actually go ballistic to the point where it was difficult to watch, kind of. But in this movie, they're giving children's theater vibes. Very sing-songy and unserious. Henry, you better stop that! If you keep doing that, it'll take away your Xbox. Henry talks about wanting to be a rock star before he proceeds to rap, which is a totally different genre of music, and it was very difficult to get through. Little dude has no flow. Aside from Rude Ralph, who he's friends with in every universe, Henry is also friends with Aerobic Al, Brainy Brian, and Beefy Bart. Beefy Bart is also seen in the TV show and books saying, "Oh, I don't know." So I don't know why they couldn't make his alliteration something about the fact that he's clueless or aloof. Why does his descriptor have to be beefy? That's such a weird way to describe a child. I don't like it. The direction of the set and colors I actually really enjoyed. They leaned into the absurdity. The detention room is completely empty, which allows Henry's friends to sneak in there and hang out with him, which is exactly the kind of stupidity that the adults possess in every other universe as well. I'll be back in 15 minutes. You guys better not do anything troublesome, detention children.
A few moments later.
All right, I'm back. You crashed my car through the wall. Okay. At this point in the movie, I thought the only thing off about the characterization of Henry is that he's actually happy, which is a very sad thing to say, but it's true. This is the happiest he's been in any medium. I guess they didn't want to have to sit down a child actor and be like, okay, so your character is depressed. He has behavioral issues due to his family not understanding him and not wanting to understand him. You get that? I'm 11 years old. Peter is also seen as more of an instigator, immediately tattling on Henry for not doing his homework. This is when we see how they do the transformation sequence, and it did not disappoint. CGI actually stands for cool. Great, impressive. Give me a version of Jurassic Park where the dinosaurs look like this, and maybe it'll be convincing. Thanks. Also, I'm so serious when I say I love this shot of all the rooms in the house. I just wish the story was more compelling. But that's not really exclusive to this movie. The teacher also got slimed, but this is still not Nickelodeon. I'm confused. My brain hurty. Okay, let me give you a rundown of the plot. Vic Van Winkle, a character that only appears in this movie, runs a very expensive fancy school, and he's wreaking havoc at Henry's school to attempt to shut it down so that all of those kids' parents can go to his school and the parents can give him money. Love the way the headmaster marches. That's so fun. But here's where the movie gets really fucking gross. Like 20 minutes through, we have a close-up shot of Henry picking his nose and pulling out this monstrous-sized booger. I didn't need to see that. I'm not gonna make you see that. It was really fucking bad. Oh great, and his baby cousin Vera threw up on a sandwich and then Henry's dad ate the sandwich. I feel sick. I feel physically ill. Is this supposed to be funny? Who is this for? Not me, clearly. Anyway, Henry, after experiencing how awful the snooty schools are, decides that he has to save his school. You completely lost me. Henry, in the books and TV show, would never try to save his school. In fact, he would try and find a way to shut down every school he was forced to go to. This isn't horrid Henry, this is wholesome Henry. Get him away from me! On top of that, his idea to save the school is winning the talent contest so he gets so famous they can't shut down the school. Your Honor, relevance? They didn't make this Henry really smart either. So anyway, that contest did in fact mean nothing. But now he has to win a cash prize on the television game show Too Cool for School. Henry is terrified playing this game, which once again feels unlike him, and for once I agree with his mother.
I still don't quite understand how this is going to save the school.
Also, these game show hosts are genuinely terrifying. They keep teleporting him and taunting him, and they're just magical, menacing creatures. I don't know, dude. Henry won by correctly spelling the word homework, so now he's the town hero. His parents are overjoyed, his teacher is proud of him. That was all it took? This live action version to me is not canon. That is too confusing to try and make fit into the world of the books and the TV show. All I know is that I want to see Henry and his family on an episode of Dr. Phil. So that's exactly what I'm going to do.
And it's also kind of going to be a musical. I know some of you fucking hate that, but it's my channel, so deal with it. I don't know.
So, tell me, how did this all start, this family rift? Once upon a time a condom broke, all because of that my life's a joke, and I remind him every day that because of him now I'm this way. Yeah, that sounds perfectly normal and healthy. How old are you? 11 years old. Yeah, why are you a little shit? I like getting what I want like every other kid ever, but my true rage stems from never being good enough for them. Sounds like a whole lot of excuses. I think my brother Henry just has a hard time expressing himself. Now what an angel that one is. Yeah, he's pretty much perfect in all the ways his brother isn't, so all of the ways. Ow, why'd you hit me? If you think now is bad, wait till tomorrow, go to bed, be mad. I only despise you. When I'm done with my brother, I'm a woman. With my parents, I'm God's gift to earth. Ego inflated and fragile like a balloon. One day I'll pop and no one will believe in peace. That's half of all the fights and tears. Why do I even care? I'm Dr. Phil. Oh, okay. I'm Dr. Phil, and I'll fill you with hope. Okay, that's great. So what's your solution? I'm Dr. Phil. He's Dr. Phil. I'm Dr. Phil. He's Dr. Phil. I'm Dr. Phil. I'm Dr. Phil. Phil. I'm Dr. Phil. He's Dr. Phil. So what I'm gonna do is send your child to a place where he will get more trauma. 'Cause I'm Dr. Phil. He's Dr. Phil.